was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
A national political...
Hold on.
No, you
Let me
hold
answer.
on. No, Director.
That was not an accident. That was a strategy. Director Radcliffe had one job: admit the breach. Instead, he denied, deflected, and played victim. Senator Name knows the stakes. He knows national security is not a game. And he knows that when the intelligence chief cannot recall the vice president's private opinions on a strike plan, we have a crisis of accountability. Watch every exchange that follows. And like, subscribe, hit the bell, because these hearings matter.
Just to make sure I understand some of the basics here. So, Director Radcliffe, you were a member of the Houthi PC small group signal chain, correct?
I was.
Yeah, and so were the Vice President, the Secretaries of State and Defense, the National Security Advisor, and Ms. Gabbard, correct?
I believe so. I don't have a list of who was invited to be on.
And so was national political reporter Jeffrey Goldberg, correct?
The very first question. You were on the signal chain, correct? Yes. Then Jeffrey Goldberg was on it, correct? I don't know that. Classic deflection. This is not a memory lapse. This is a convenient blank. A reporter read the vice president's private doubts, and the director of national intelligence claims he doesn't know how that happened. That is not an answer. That is an evasion, and it sets the tone for everything that follows. Senator Name lays the trap, and Radcliffe walks right into it. The dodge is now on the record, and this hearing is just beginning.
I don't know that.
Yes, you do.
I don't know Jeffrey Goldberg, and I've already testified. I don't know whether or how he was added.
Okay, well, he was a member of the signal chain, and the discussion included the Vice President's private opinion on the wisdom of proposed U.S. strikes in Yemen, correct?
I don't recall.
Vance, quote, I think we are making a mistake. I am not sure the president is aware of how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There is a strong argument for delaying this a month. You don't recall?
Now the senator reads the vice president's own words back to him. I think we are making a mistake. And still, the director of national intelligence cannot recall. I don't recall seeing that. Let that sink in. This is not an oversight. The Vice President of the United States openly disagreed with a planned military operation in a signal chat that included a journalist. And the intelligence chief says he doesn't remember. This is not a memory problem. This is a cover-up. If a level analyst forgot a detail like this, they'd be fired the same day. For the DNI, he gets to testify under oath and claim amnesia. That double standard is the rot at the heart of this administration.
As you
don't recall seeing that?
Read that. I don't.
It included the private opinions of the Secretary of Defense on the timing of strikes in Yemen, correct?
I don't recall.
Director Radcliffe, surely you prepared for this hearing today. You were part of a group of principals, senior echelons of the U.S. government, in now a widely publicized breach of sensitive information. You don't recall whether the Vice President opined on the wisdom of the strikes? That's your testimony today under oath?
In that setting, I don't recall.
Here's what Secretary Hegseth said, quote, waiting a few weeks or months does not fundamentally change the calculus. Two immediate risks on waiting. One, this leaks and we look indecisive. Two, Israel takes an action first or Gaza ceasefire falls apart and we don't get to start this on our own terms. Your testimony is you don't recall the Secretary of Defense sending that message or reading it?
I recall there being an exchange.
And the pattern continues. Now it is the Secretary of Defense's exact words about striking Yemen. Waiting a few weeks does not fundamentally change the calculus. Radcliffe admits there was an exchange, but cannot recall the specifics. This is the cabinet discussing the timing and risk of sending air crews into hostile airspace. And the intelligence chief pleads ignorance. This is not a hearing. This is a performance. The senator asks, would this be of obvious interest to foreign intelligence services? The answer is forced out, yes. But here is the real story. The enemy already had that information. A reporter had it. The question is not whether they should be interested. It is how much damage has already been done. And still, no apology, no accountability, just another I don't recall.
I don't recall the specifics as you're reading it.
Well, let's put it this way, Director Radcliffe, a discussion by senior U.S. officials on the timing and risks of a proposed military campaign and disagreements between the president and the vice president about U.S. plans and intentions would be of obvious interest to foreign intelligence services, would it not?
Yes.
And they were discussing the timing of sending U.S. air crews into enemy airspace where they faced an air defense threat, correct?
So here is a huge problem. The senator explains to the DNI exactly why this breach matters. These are the internal debates that foreign adversaries would kill to see. Radcliffe tries to defer. I'm going to defer to the other principals. Classic bureaucratic stalling. But the senator does not let him. He pins him down. They are talking about the timing of U.S. airstrikes, correct? Finally, a yes. But watch what comes next. The senator makes him walk through the logical conclusion. Those airstrikes meant sending air crews into enemy airspace, where they could be shot down. And Radcliffe's response, I don't know that. He does not know that sending air crews into hostile airspace means they can be targeted. That is not ignorance. That is a willful refusal to connect the dots. This is not an intelligence chief. This is a political operator covering for a catastrophic error. And the stakes just got personal.
Senator, defer to the other principles that you're referring to about what the meaning and the context of what they were
auditing. They're talking about the
auditing.
timing of U.S. airstrikes, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and therefore the timing of sending U.S. air crews into hostile airspace, correct?
Yes.
And therefore the time period during which enemy air defenses could target U.S. air crews flying in enemy airspace, correct?
I don't know that.
You do know.
So the senator turns to General Hawk, the head of signals intelligence. Would the private deliberation of foreign senior officials about military action be a collection priority? Hawk answers carefully. It is their job to do indications and warning. Then the senator asks the killer question. Would advance warning of airstrikes allow a military to cue air defenses to shoot down enemy aircraft? Hawk admits it. Any advance warning is something they protect. There it is. The very thing Radcliffe cannot seem to grasp, that the information in that chat could get American pilots killed. And the DNI sat there, unable to recall a single detail. This is not a failure of memory. This is a failure of leadership. If the intelligence chief cannot articulate the danger of his own breach, then he is unfit to lead the intelligence community. The senator did not even need to say it. The contrast between Hawk's direct answers and Radcliffe's evasions is damning. And here comes the most shocking part, the moment the DNI finally drops the I don't recall act.
That. Let me ask this question, General Hawk. You lead America's signals intelligence collection. Would the private deliberation of foreign senior officials about the wisdom and timing of potential military action be a collection priority for you and the U.S. intelligence community?
Senator, it's our job to do indications and warning for both the plans and intentions of adversary leaders and for military commanders.
And would not information about the timing of airstrikes allow a military to pre-position or cue air defense systems to shoot down enemy aircraft?
I think, Senator, from our perspective, any advance warning is something that we certainly are trying to protect.
So what happens when the DNI finally faces a question he cannot dodge? Actually, he does not. Instead, the senator brings in General Hawk, and Hawk's answer is devastating. He confirms that any advance warning is something they protect. Then the senator turns back to Radcliffe. Director Radcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct? And for the first time, Radcliffe says no, not I don't recall, not I defer. He looks the senator in the eye and says no. That is not a denial. That is a defiant refusal to accept reality. The White House called it an inadvertent mistake. But when asked directly, the DNI rejects even that characterization. There is no apology, no recognition of gravity, just a flat no. The senator cuts him off. No, you hold on. And this is where the facade cracks. This is not a hearing anymore. This is a confrontation.
Yeah. Director Radcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
A national political...
Hold on.
No, you
Let me
hold
answer.
on. No,
The
Director
answer- the
Radcliffe,
reason
I
I
asked
say
you a yes or
no-
no question, and now you hold on. A national political reporter
You can characterize it how you want.
was made privy
The White
to
House has
sensitive
made clear
information about
that there
imminent
was an
military
inadvertent
operations against a
mistake,
foreign terrorist
an inadvertent
organization.
mistake of adding a reporter.
And that wasn't a huge
to a
mistake?
deal.
That wasn't a huge mistake?
Well, I think they characterize
This is
it
an
as a
embarrassment.
mistake.
This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology. There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error. And by the way, we will get the full transcript of this chain, and your testimony will be measured carefully against its content.
So let us recap what we just witnessed. A director of national intelligence who cannot recall the vice president's private doubts about a military plan, who cannot recall the Secretary of Defense's exact words about timing of strikes, who claims not to know that sending air crews into enemy airspace puts them in danger, who deflects, and finally, when cornered on the biggest national security breach of the decade, flatly denies it was a mistake. This is not one bad day of testimony. This is a pattern of evasion that runs from the top of the intelligence community to the administration that appointed him. If a junior officer had done this, they would face court-martial and dishonorable discharge. For Director Radcliffe, he gets to sit in a hearing, say no, and walk away. We cannot stay silent. The question for every viewer is this: will you demand accountability from those who are supposed to protect us? Because if not, this will happen again, and next time the cost may not be just a leaked chat. It could be American lives. Like, share, subscribe. Keep watching.